How are you guys doing? Today is Monday, January 25th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to walk you through the Elite performances and matchups from yesterday, Sunday, January 24th. And of course, I'm going to preview the Elite matchups today as I walk you through the day of sports one day at a time. Starting with the NFL, because of course there was a lot of great football was played. Going into the conference championship round of the NFL playoffs, 4 teams were left competing for Super Bowl 55, and 2 teams came out. The first game would be the NFC Championship game, where the Green Bay Packers hosted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Green Bay. The Packers came into this game with the number 1 seed after beating the Rams in the divisional round, and the Buccaneers came in with the 5th seed. They were the top wild card seed. They beat the Washington football team in the wild card, and they ended up beating the New Orleans Saints in the divisional round. And in this one, they were able to get out to a good lead, a good start, and they were able to beat the Green Bay Packers 31-26 to advance Tom Brady to his 10th career Super Bowl and his first and give him his first ever NFC title in his first ever season in the NFC. Especially after Tampa Bay outscored Green Bay 21-10 in the first half. Some questionable plays were made, questionable officiating in a playoff game of all times. But at the end of the game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the team that would advance to the next round. For the Green Bay Packers in their final game of the season, their goated quarterback Aaron Rodgers would complete 33 of his 48 passes, throwing for 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. On the ground, their leading rusher was Aaron Jones, who had 27 yards on 6 carries. The elite running back would also finish with 7 yards through the air, as he had 34 total yards of offense. The team was limited to 67 rushing yards on the day. Their leading receiver would be Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who had 115 yards on 4 receptions and a touchdown. One of the receptions was his 50-yard touchdown. In addition to him, their elite wide receiver Davante Adams would finish with 67 yards on 9 receptions, as he had a receiving touchdown as well. Allen Lazard had 62 yards on 3 receptions. And then Robert Tonyan, their tight end, had 22 yards on 4 receptions, and Aaron Rodgers' his 3rd passing touchdown of the day. On the defensive side of the ball, Kenny Clark was their defensive tackler. Their defensive tackle was their leading tackler, as he had 8 of them on the day, and he had the only sack on Tom Brady all day. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Jair Alexander, their corner, was able to log 2 interceptions on the day. Even though they didn't win, that's still a very impressive side. I mean, he had 3 tackles and 2 picks in a playoff game. His team just didn't win. In addition to him, Adrian Amos would finish with an interception as well. And then looking out to how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fared, their goated starting quarterback Tom Brady would complete 20 of his 36 passes, throwing for 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 picks. And then on their ground, their leading rusher was Leonard Fournette out of LSU at 55 yards on 12 carries and a touchdown. He had and his touchdown one was a pretty impressive one at that too. Their leading receiver was Chris Godwin out of Penn State. He had 110 yards on 5 receptions. Their elite wide receiver Mike Evans had 51 yards on 3 receptions and a touchdown. Scotty Miller had 36 yards on 2 receptions and a touchdown. And then Cameron Brate had 19 yards on 3 receptions, as he had Tom Brady's 3rd touchdown of the day. On the defensive side of the ball, their starting linebacker out of LSU, Devin White, would lead the team in tackles, as he had 15 of them. He also recovered a fumble. Their defensive end, Shaquille Barrett, would finish with 5 tackles on the day, as he had 3 sacks. Their elite defensive end, Jason Pierre-Paul, would finish with 5 tackles and 2 sacks. As between Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul, they both shared all of the 5 sacks on the day for the team. So with all that, and also Sean Murphy-Bunting was able to log the only interception of the day for Tampa Bay on Green Bay to go along with the 6 tackles. With this win, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will advance to Super Bowl 55 in their home stadium, which is the first time this has ever been done in the 55 years that the Super Bowl has been a game. Since the Super Bowl has been an event, this will be very big. And considering Tom Brady might be the first starting quarterback to win the Super Bowl in his home stadium, I think that'll be pretty fitting. It's been a very impressive road for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but their season does not end here. And then jumping out to the second game of the night, The Kansas City Chiefs, the top seed in the AFC, hosted the Buffalo Bills, the second best team in the AFC, and they were able to beat the Buffalo Bills 38-24 as they were able to advance to their second straight Super Bowl for a chance of winning their second straight title. In this matchup, Buffalo would get the lead early, leading 9-0 after the first quarter. Kansas City would have a big second quarter, leading leading at the end of the half, and they just carried that momentum through the end of the game. And in their last game of the 2020 NFL season, their elite starting quarterback Josh Allen would complete 28 of his 48 passes, throwing for 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He was also the Bills' leading rusher as he had 88 yards on 7 carries. I mean, just overall amazing game. He would finish with 375 total yards of offense. And then through the air, their leading receiver was Cole Beasley, who had 88 yards and 7 receptions. Their elite wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, would finish with 77 yards on 6 receptions. Dawson Knox had 42 yards on 6 receptions and a touchdown. And then the other touchdown would go to Isaiah McKenzie. He only had 1 reception for 6 yards, but it was a 6-yard reception that mattered and counted. On the defensive side of the ball, Jordan Poyer would be the leading tackler. He had 8 tackles on the day. Their elite corner, Tre'Davious White, would finish with 7 tackles on the day, as their elite linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds, also had 7. Jerry Hughes would log the only sack of the day for the team, as the Bills just couldn't get a lot done on this amazing offense. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, in their AFC Championship performance, their elite starting quarterback Patrick Mahomes would complete 29 of his 38 attempts, throwing for 325 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also ran for 5 yards to give him 330 total yards, but of course he's killing it in his own right. Their leading rusher was Darrell Williams, who had 52 yards and 13 carries and a touchdown. Also, Mecole Hardman would have a 50-yard carry, along with his 4 receiving yards and his touchdown. He had 54 total yards of offense. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, their first-round pick out of LSU in the 2020 draft, he finished with 7 yards on 6 carries and a touchdown. Just a lot going on there. Through the air, the leading receiver was Tyreek Hill. He had 172 yards on 9 receptions. His longest reception was 71 yards. It wasn't a touchdown, but he was all over the field today, and he was striking fear in the Buffalo Bills defense. In addition to him, the Kansas City Chiefs' elite tight end Travis Kelce would finish with 118 yards on 13 receptions, and he had 2 receiving touchdowns. And they were the 2 players that had over 25 receiving yards. It was mainly a 2-receiver game, but they were able to get their other players involved when they really could. On the defensive side of the ball, Anthony Hitchens would be their leading tackler. He had 8 of them on the day. Their elite safety, Tyrann Mathieu, would finish with 6 tackles on the day. Frank Clark, their elite defensive tackle, would finish with 3 tackles as he had 2 sacks. Tano Knapsagnon and L'Jarius Sneed would finish the other 2 sacks of the day. And then through the air in the secondary, Rashad Fenton would finish with an interception on the day. And with this win, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to Tampa Bay to face off against Tom Brady. I know Patrick Mahomes wants that rematch. It'll be very big. So it'll be a very big matchup. It'll be a very interesting bridge to see the current GOAT versus the possible future GOAT. But that's what football's looking like. And with the Pro Bowl done, I don't know if I'm going to get back to you with football until maybe February 8th. But in the meantime, I'm going to hop to the NBA, starting with the only primetime matchup, jumping to Milwaukee. The Bucks hosted the Atlanta Hawks and were able to beat the Hawks 129-115 after outscoring Atlanta by 17 in the first quarter and riding that momentum through the game. For the Atlanta Hawks, their starting power forward, John Collins, would finish with 30 points and 7 rebounds in 37 minutes, shooting 12 for 19 from the field and 6 for 9 from 3. The Atlanta Hawks' leading scorer would be their starting small forward out of Virginia, DeAndre Hunter. He finished with 33 points in 42 minutes, shooting 13 for 21 from the field and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. And then for the Milwaukee Bucks, off the bench, their center, Bobby Portis, would finish with 21 points and 6 rebounds in 27 minutes, shooting 9 for 16 from the field. And the Milwaukee Bucks leading scorer would be their elite power forward, reigning back-to-back MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who finished with 27 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, and 5 steals, and 36 minutes, shooting 9 for 13 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, and 9 for 15 from the line. With this win, the Milwaukee Bucks are currently 10-6, which is the second-best record in the East. And with this loss, the Atlanta Hawks are 8-8, which ties them with the Cleveland Cavaliers for the 6th best record in the East. Jumping out to another game, jumping out to Indianapolis, the Pacers hosted the Toronto, now Tampa Bay Raptors. And in this one, the Raptors were able to beat the Pacers 107-102 after outscoring the Pacers by 11 in the second quarter. For the Indiana Pacers, their leading scorer will be their starting center, Miles Turner, who finished with 25 points and 6 blocks, as well as 3 steals and 4 rebounds in 36 minutes as he shot 8 for 12 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the line. And then for the Toronto Raptors, their starting shooting guard, Norman Powell, would finish with 20 points and 6 assists in 37 minutes, shooting 7 for 18 from the field. Their starting shooting guard, Fred VanVleet, would finish with 21 points and 5 rebounds, as well as 3 steals in 41 minutes, shooting 6 for 15 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the line. And the Toronto Raptors' leading scorer would be their starting small forward, OG Anunoby out of Indiana, who finished with 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 steals in 40 minutes, shooting 9 for 16 from the field and 4 for 6 from 3. With this win, the Toronto Raptors are 7-9, which is currently tied with the Bulls and the Hornets for the 9th best record, or the first seed right outside the playoff picture. And with this loss, the Indiana Pacers are 9-7, which is the 4th best record in the East as it stands. Jumping out to the Staples Center, the Los Angeles Clippers hosted the OKC Thunder as Paul George took on his former team. In this matchup, the Clippers were able to beat the Thunder 108-100 after taking full control in the first half, outscoring OKC by 17 in the first quarter. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, their starting guard, George Hill, would finish with 22 points in 28 minutes, shooting 9 for 12 from the field and 3 for 4 from 3, making his only free throw attempt of the game. And the leading scorer for the Oklahoma City Thunder was their starting shooting guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He finished with 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists in 37 minutes, shooting 8 for 16 from the field and a perfect 6 for 6 from the line. For the Los Angeles Clippers, their elite shooting guard, Paul George, would finish with 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists against his former team in 33 minutes, as he shot 4 for 13 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the line. And the Los Angeles Clippers' leading scorer will be their goated small forward, Kawhi Leonard, who finished with 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists in 36 minutes, shooting 14 for 24 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the line. With this win, the Los Angeles Clippers are currently 13-4, which ties them with their Staples Center rivals, the Los Angeles Lakers, for the best record in the West and, better yet, the entire NBA. And with this loss, the OKC Thunder are sitting at 6-9, which ties them with the Rockets for the 11th best or the 4th worst record in the Western Conference. Jumping right out to Boston, the Boston Celtics hosted the Cleveland Cavaliers and were able to beat the Cavaliers 141-103 after just putting on a clinic up until just garbage time. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, their leading scorer will be their starting point guard, Colin Sexton, who finished with 13 points. And he also had 6 turnovers in 16 minutes, shooting 3 for 8 from the field and 7 for 7 from the free throw line. And for the Boston Celtics, their leading scorer will be their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, out of Cal, who finished with 33 points in 19 minutes, shooting 13 for 20 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, and 4 for 4 from the line. And their elite starting point guard, Kemba Walker, would finish with 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals in 24 minutes, shooting 7 for 12 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. With this win, the Boston Celtics are 9-6, which is the 3rd best record in the NBA. And with this loss, the Cavaliers are 8-8, which ties them with the Atlanta Hawks for the 6th best record in the NBA as it stands. Leaving out to Orlando, the Orlando Magic took on their divisional rivals, the Charlotte Hornets. And in this matchup, the Hornets were able to beat the Orlando Magic 107-104 after coming back from being down 12 going into the 4th quarter to winning by 3. Outscoring the Magic by 15 points in the 4th quarter. For the Orlando Magic, their starting shooting guard, Evan Fournier, would finish with 21 points and 6 assists in 33 minutes, shooting 7 for 16 from the field. And the Orlando Magic leading scorer would be Nikola Vucevic, their starting center, who had 22 points and 13 rebounds in 35 minutes, shooting 9 for 22 from the field on the day. For the Charlotte Hornets, off the bench, their elite point guard, LaMelo Ball, would finish with 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists in 28 minutes, shooting 4 for 11 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 1 for 1 from the free throw line. And then for the Hornets, their leading scorer would be their starting small forward, Gordon Hayward, who finished with 39 points and 9 rebounds in 38 minutes, shooting 15 for 25 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and 4 for 8 from the 3 line. With this win, the Charlotte Hornets are currently sitting at 7-9, which ties them with the Bulls and the Raptors for the ninth best record in the East. And then with this loss, the Orlando Magic are 7-10. They're the second team in the Eastern Conference to pick up double-digit losses, but they are sitting with the fourth worst record in the East right now. Jumping out to San Antonio, the San Antonio Spurs hosted the Washington Wizards and were able to beat the Wizards 121-101 after outscoring Washington by 19 in the second half. Pretty impressive. And for the Washington Wizards, their elite starting point guard Russell Westbrook would finish with 9 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists in 25 minutes as he shot 3 for 11 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the line. And the Wizards' leading scorer will be their elite shooting guard Bradley Beal, who had 31 points and 7 rebounds in 32 minutes, shooting 13 for 29 from the field, 3 for 10 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the free throw line, as he was also able to add 4 assists as well. For the San Antonio Spurs, off the bench, their point guard Patty Mills had 21 points in 21 minutes, shooting 8 for 14 from the field and 4 for 8 from 3. He was their leading scorer on the day. And with this win, the San Antonio Spurs are sitting at 9-8, which looking out at the West is the 8th best record in the entire conference. And with this loss, the Washington Wizards are now 3-9, which is the second worst record in the East as it currently stands. Jumping out to Portland, for the last game of the night because the Sacramento-Memphis game was postponed. The Portland Trailblazers hosted the New York Knicks and were able to beat the Knicks 116-113. In this matchup, the Trailblazers would just get dominating from the early tip. They would go on to outscore the Knicks by 20 in the first half, but that would actually eventually come around and bite them at the very end. But for the New York Knicks, off the bench, their shooting guard Emmanuel Quickley would finish with 31 points as he had the team high. He had 31 points in 24 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the line. And then their starting power forward, Julius Randle, would finish with 25 points, and 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in 33 minutes, shooting 7 for 18 from the field. He made his only three-point attempt of the night, and he went 10 for 11 from the free throw line. For the Portland Trailblazers, their leading scorer was their elite point guard Damian Lillard, who finished with 39 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists in 35 minutes, shooting 11 for 17 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3, and 11 for 11 from the free throw line, as it was very hard to douse out his flame. With this win, the Portland Trailblazers are 9-6, which has them sitting with the fourth best record in the West as it stands. And with this loss, the New York Knicks are currently sitting at 8-10. They are the third team to reach double-digit losses. But just with that loss, it looks as though they're going to sit right outside the playoff picture, or probably right now they're sitting in eighth. They're sitting in eighth spot. So I'm really curious as to see what's going to happen with them these up and coming games. But that's what's been going on today in terms of the NBA. But that was everything that happened yesterday. Looking forward to today, starting with the primetime matchups. At 7:30, the Brooklyn Nets are going to host the Miami Heat on NBA TV. And then following that, the Golden State Warriors are going to host the Minnesota Timberwolves at 10 o'clock on NBA TV. Outside of those games, the Pistons are going to host the 76ers. The Indiana Pacers are going to host the Toronto Raptors. The Orlando Magic are going to host the Charlotte Hornets again. At 8 o'clock, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to host the Los Angeles Lakers as LeBron faces off against his hometown and former team. At 8:30, the Dallas Mavericks are going to host the Denver Nuggets. At 9 o'clock, the Chicago Bulls are going to host the Celtics, and the New Orleans Pelicans are going to host the San Antonio Spurs. And then at 10 o'clock, the Portland Trailblazers are going to host the Oklahoma City Thunder. And once those games are completed, I'll get back to you tomorrow regarding those. Jumping out to college basketball, not much going on yesterday, but looking forward to today at 7 o'clock. 13th ranked UVA is going to host unranked Syracuse on ESPN. And at 9 o'clock, 14th ranked West Virginia is going to host 12th ranked Texas Tech on ESPN. But that's what college basketball is looking like. Looking out to hockey, just looking through the biggest matchups thus far, because we are entering into a fairly new season. The Oilers are able to beat the Jets 4-3 as their center Connor McDavid would finish with 3 assists on the night. The Chicago Blackhawks were able to beat the Detroit Red Wings 6-2 as Suter, the center for Chicago, finished with a hat trick. The Buffalo Sabres were able to get their second win of the season, beating the Washington Capitals 4-3 by way of shootout. The Toronto Maple Leafs were able to get their fifth win of the season, beating the Calgary Flames 3-2 behind Riley's 3 assists. He assisted on all 3 of the goals. The Golden Knights were able to go into Phoenix and beat the Coyotes 1-0. Just incredible goalkeeping from both teams the entire game. Jumping out to New Jersey, the Devils hosted the New York Islanders and were able to beat them 2-0. Just to get another big win. Their defenseman Smith would finish with 2 assists on the night. The Pittsburgh Penguins would pick up their 4th win of the season as they hosted the New York Rangers and beat them 3-2, especially after coming back because they scored their last 2 goals in the third period after they were already down at that point. The Los Angeles Kings went to St. Louis and were able to beat the Blues 6-3. Andre Kopitar would finish with a goal and 2 assists. The San Jose Sharks would go to Minnesota to take on the Wild and would win 5-3. Parise would come up big for Minnesota as he had a goal and an assist. The Dallas Stars hosted the Nashville Predators and were able to beat them 3-2 behind Pavelski's goal and 2 assists, being a part of every single goal within there. And then the last game of the night, the Anaheim Ducks hosted the Colorado Avalanche and were able to beat them 3-1, scoring in every period. And looking forward to what's going on with hockey today because it is Monday. There's only one game on today. It'll be between the Canucks and the Senators at 10 o'clock. But we'll see as to how that game fares out. And then last but not least, taking it to just taking it international, seeing what's going on in the world of soccer because it was Sunday, it was a weekend, so there was a good amount that could have been missed. In the English FA Cup, Chelsea was able to beat Luton Town 3-1 behind their young striker Tammy Abraham's hat trick. With this, they'll move on to the fifth round. Of the tournament. Manchester United hosted Liverpool and were able to beat them 3-2. For Liverpool, their elite forward out of Egypt, Mo Salah, would score both goals for Liverpool, 1 in each half. For Manchester United, their elite forward Marcus Rashford would hit the second goal for them to tie it up, or to take the 2-1 lead. And then after Salah tied it up with the second goal, Bruno Fernandes, Manchester United's elite Portuguese center attacking mid, would finish with a set-piece goal to give Manchester United the advantage to advance to the next round of the English FA Cup, as Liverpool have officially been eliminated from the tournament. Jumping out to the German league, the Bundesliga, our Bayern Munich was able to beat Schalke 4-0 to keep their hold on the top spot of the table. For Bayern Munich, their first goal will come from their elite center attacking mid out of Germany, Thomas Müller. Robert Lewandowski, their elite Polish striker, would hit the second goal in the 54th minute. Thomas Müller would hit his second goal in the 88th minute to give him the brace, and the 90th minute would go to Bayern Munich elite center back David Alaba. Looking at how the Bundesliga is currently sitting, Bayern Munich is sitting at the very top. With as many games played as everyone else, they have 7 games more than the second best team. And with this loss, of course, Schalke is still sitting at the bottom, possibly facing relegation with how poorly they've been playing. In Italy, Juventus was able to beat Bologna 2-0 as Weston McKennie, the American, was able to get their second goal of the season. Looking out into Serie A as to what's going on out in that league, they're currently sitting 4th as they still have 1 game in hand. They could possibly pass AS Roma with their next game, but Juventus still have a dog in this fight. And looking out to La Liga, Barcelona went to Elche and were able to beat them 2-0. Frankie de Jong would score in the 39th minute. They're elite midfielder out of the Netherlands. Currently looking at how La Liga is going, Barcelona sitting 3rd. They were sitting super low earlier, but now they're back into the 3-man race as they have officially inched past Sevilla. They are currently 10 points behind Atletico Madrid, and Atletico Madrid has 1 game in hand. But with the second half of the season, I mean, we can see as to whether they're going to perform as well as we think they are. And also, Atletico Madrid was able to beat Valencia 3-1 as their second goal came from their elite striker, Luis Suarez, who actually celebrated his 34th birthday yesterday. I actually did my profile on him. That's why I know. So that's a birthday goal from a very elite striker. And that's what soccer is looking like as of right now. Today is Monday, January 25th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims. I want to thank you guys once again for listening to all 25 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. And of course, because I've already mentioned everything that's going to go on today, I will get back to you with the highlights from the games today, tomorrow. But with that said, thanks once again. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow.